6 moves of the spine supine, 2 legs. You start on your back. And as you transition out of the centering shavasana, sweep the arms overhead and start to stretch the body with the breath. Inhales can reach really long and create a little arch in your back, and exhales will slacken and let go. Sometimes like you point your toes, reach your fingers, even scrunch your face and make a sound with a as you let go. Several rounds of that. Then come into a banana shape. First, the upper body. You shimmy the shoulders and the head over to one side and feel the stretch in the other side. You can add on by swinging your legs in the same direction that your shoulders went, and maybe by crossing one leg over the other. Now, students will have individual preferences about which leg feels better on top, or they need not do this at all. They can keep their feet maybe hip distance apart. Several breaths here, after which you'll come back to center and pause to notice the difference. Again, it's always nice to have a symmetrical pose after an asymmetrical pose so people can move at their own pace. They can just lie there or inhale, reach, and exhale, release. Then, of course, banana on the other side. Your hips stay where they already were, but both your upper body and your legs can move over to the other side. After that, a hug of the knees can feel nice to let the low back come down to the floor, shake anything out. This way we get our spinal flexion. Then we take the feet down. A couple different ways to put rotation into the mix. One is to have your feet at about mat width apart and hands framing the hips and sway side to side. Now the sway can go with the breath, maybe an inhale to lower and an exhale to lift, or it can just go at any pace that feels good. The pelvis does rock along the floor, so the hip comes up as the knees go to the opposite side. After several of these rocks, you'll stay on one side. You can stay exactly where your legs landed. You could tighten them up, or you could cross the bottom leg ankle over the top leg knee. Take care that that feels okay for the knee, but that's a way to add some extra work into the stretch, a little bit of greater load. Now, you can keep things really low and mellow with the feet down on the floor for the twist, or if you want more spice, or your students seem to want more spice, you can come to tabletop position with the legs. Here, the position of the arms becomes more important as it's helping to hold the spine, the upper part of the spine steady against the floor and the shoulders steady against the floor as the knees start to rock side to side. Just as you saw when the feet were down, the hip does come up. So this is rotation around the mid region of the spine. And if you still wanted more, you could start to do this with straighter legs. Now it's a big jump to go from knees bent to legs long. So you might go straight and then rebend, or straight, straddle, bring the legs together. Or of course, you can do this full on with straight legs, after which it will probably feel nice to hug your knees in. And that tick-tock could be the rotation for the warm-up, or you could let the legs come all the way down and hang out for a few extra breaths in the twist on each side. Finally, we need some spinal flexion and extension. We'll do that as a bridge pose. Your feet come down to the floor, pretty close in, closer than they were for the rotation. Now, I often start this as a pelvic tilt done on the floor. It's kind of subtle. I'll see if I can exaggerate it and tighten up my shirt here. Inhale, your tailbone would drop and there's space between your low back and the floor. And when you exhale, your belly button would pull down and you try to smush the back of your waistband against the floor. Inhales, the forward tilt, and exhales, the backward tilt. Sometimes that's enough. For a gentle yoga class, somebody who has some back issues, that might be plenty of work. Or for folks who know and love bridge pose, this is almost teasing them to get them into bridge pose. So then you'd exhale, come to the backward tilt of the pelvis, and inhale, roll up the spine, exhale, roll down. You can stay just with this part, or you can intersperse. So it's inhale, forward, anterior tilt, exhale, backward, posterior tilt. Inhale, we keep that slight backward tilt so we get extra length in the front as we come up, and then we melt the spine down piece by piece. If you want still more, you can move your arms and your hips at the same time. Inhales, lift. Exhales, lower. Several rounds of that, and eventually you can have your students hug their knees into their chests again.